What's up? I am Nikhil from dopemotions.com and welcome to this brand new After Effects tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a really nice, simple and stylish looking logo reveal in After Effects using shape layers. Now, you don't need to hire anyone for creating your own YouTube intro. You can create it yourself using some really simple steps. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into After Effects and get started. Alright, so let's begin with the tutorial. Now before we begin, let me give you guys a quick disclaimer that this may be a bit long tutorial, so just make sure you have good amount of time. Anyways, so let's start by creating a new composition. 1920 by 1080, 30 fps, 10 seconds, looks good. Let's rename the comp to main and hit OK. Alright, so let's start by creating a shape layer. So let's double click to create an ellipse and I'm gonna set the fill to none, hit OK and increase the stroke width to around, let's go with something like 250 or 250 is a bit too much, maybe 220. Alright, go into ellipse path and hold alt and click on this link icon, so it's gonna make a perfect circle and set this to 220 just as the size of the stroke. And then let's go ahead and add a trim path. Also, I'm going to pretty quickly change the color to a white color. Alright, so now we have the trim paths. Let's animate the end property. So I'm going to set this to 0, create a keyframe, go to 1 second and set this to 100. And let's select the keyframes, hit F9, go into the graph editor. If your graph editor doesn't look like this, make sure to right click and make sure you're working in the edit speed graph. And now what I'm going to do is let's select this handle and drag it to the left just like so. So now we have this really nice animation. Pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and hit Ctrl D to duplicate the layer. And what I'm going to do is bring this below and let's displace this a bit. Hit U 2 times on the keyboard and increase the size just like so. Just right over there. So now we have this really nice displacement. So let's displace it or move forward the layer by 5 frames. That is what I'm going for. Let's hit Ctrl D and displace this again by 5 frames. Hit U 2 times and increase the size just like we did before. Hit Ctrl D, 5 frames forward in time. And let's hit U 2 times again and scale this up. Oh, let's go a bit forward, scale this down a bit right over here. And I think we'll need one more. Hit Ctrl D, displace this by 5 frames, hit U 2 times and increase the size just like so. So there's a bit remaining at the edges, so I can increase the stroke just like that. And there we have this really nice looking animation, which is going to be our transition. Alright, so let's select all the layers and hit Ctrl Shift C. Let's call this BG underscore T, that is the background transition, and hit OK. And there we have it. Let's color this up by adding a fill to it. And I'll make it a yellow color. Something like that. You can of course use any color that you want. And then what I'm going to do is first of all make it a bit lighter, just a touch. Yep. Hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. Oh, the layer. So hit Ctrl D, rotate it by 180 degrees, and then let's change the color to a purple color because I'm going with a combination of yellow and purple. So I think it's going to be a bit hard to find the purple that I was going for. Something like that. Hit OK and I'm going to drag the purple layer below. So now we have something like this, which I think looks pretty interesting. And also what I'm going to do is add a radial blinds to this. So I'm going to type in blinds and let's increase this. Let's set this to 45 degrees and everything else looks good to me. Keep it really minimal. So let's see. Yep, that is looking very nice. Now just to add some variation into both the transitions. So there we have it. Now let's go ahead and start animating the main scene. So the first thing that I'm going to animate is the first circle that pops up. So let's select the ellipse tool. We don't need any strokes, so I'm going to set this to 0. We need the fill. And for now, I'm just going to go with a gray color just for temporary, look. And also I'm going to draw a circle holding shift and control at the same time, just like that from the center. You can always center this up using the align tool. And then I'm going to go into ellipse 1, ellipse path 1, and set the size to somewhere around 250, or maybe let's go with 300. Yep, that looks better. And let's rename this to logo shape. And I'm going to animate the scaling property of this circle. So what we can do is, let's go maybe right over here at 20 frames and hit S to bring down the scale properties. Create a keyframe, go forward in time to maybe somewhere around there. Or let's go somewhere around there. And let's create a keyframe, go back to the previous keyframe that we created and set this to 0. So now we have this really simple animation. Let's select the keyframes and hit F9, go into the graph editor, and this time I'm going to right click and go into edit value graph because we need to create kind of an overshoot effect for this. So drag this handle just like that and drag this handle just like so. Hold Control and click right over here to create a point and drag that point up just like so. And maybe I'll tweak it a bit just to make it a bit more smoother. And now we should have this really nice overshooting effect. As you can see, overshoot animation actually pretty nice. Maybe I'll drag this a bit closer. Pretty cool. So you can tweak it according to your requirements. And yep, I think this is looking very nice. I think it's a bit too slow. So what we can do is select all the keyframes and hold Alt at the same time and drag this just a touch. Now we have this really nice animation. As you can see, I think the overshoot is pretty nice. You can always turn on the motion blur to make it look even more better. See? But in this case, I'm not going to use any motion blur for this animation. I think it's looking pretty nice. But I'm somewhat not happy with the overshoot. I think it's a bit too much, so I'm going to recreate it. I'm going to delete the keyframe. Select the keyframes, hit F9, graph editor, and let's tweak it a bit more. Now I can skip this part of recreating it again, but you need to know that there can be mistakes sometime, so you need to fix it. You just can't leave it. So let's tweak it a little bit. Let's see. It's a bit too much still. We bring this down a bit. Yep, I think this is looking much better. Yep, happy with that. Now let's go ahead and change the color of this circle to the purple color that we have. Hit OK. Okay. So this is looking very nice. And now let's go ahead and create the small accents that we have for the shape. So what I'm going to do is select the ellipse tool and just create a circle by holding Alt and Control and Shift. All right. And I'm going to just drag it to the center. Let's set the fill to none because we don't need any fill. And for the accent, I'll keep it white for now. Hit OK. Let's increase the stroke size a bit and hit U 2 times so we can reveal the property of the size. Maybe bring this really small, something like 10 or something like that. And for the stroke, I'm going to go with maybe 25. All right. Let's go right over here somewhere and create a keyframe on the size. Go forward in time, maybe 2 seconds, or let's go to 3 seconds actually, and set this to, let's set the stroke size to, I guess, 5 or something. Or actually, I'm going to set this to 0. Go right over here and set this to 70 or something like that. No, I think I did it wrong. Maybe I'll just set this to 5 and let's go right over here and set this to 100. So we have a really nice big stroke as it animates. And for the stroke size or width, you can say I'm gonna set this to 50. create a keyframe, go to 3 seconds and set this to 0. So now we have this kind of a fading look. You can see, pretty cool. And lastly, I'm gonna create a keyframe on the position. So create a keyframe, hit U, so you can see all the keyframes. Go to 3 seconds and drag it holding shift just like so. So now we have this really simple animation of kind of a pop-up bubbles effect. Let's select all the keyframes, hit F9, go into the graph editor. Let's switch to speed graph, select the keyframes and drag the handle to the left just like so. Now we have really nice kind of a pop-up bubble effect, as you can see. Now we need to match the timing as it is not, working according to the time. So hold Alt and close brackets, close square bracket to crop the layer. And maybe I'll just make it a bit closer. Something like that. Now let's, position it with the timing that we need. So let's rename this to burst. Bring this below our logo shape and let's see where our logo hits up there. So let's drag this right over here. So now now it's matching up with the time, as you can see. Very, very nice. And then what I can do is select the burst layer and hit Control Shift C to pre-compose it. Let's call this burst. And hit Control D to duplicate it. Hit R to rotate it just in any random direction and hit scale. So I'll scale this down by maybe 60 or something. And now we have something like this, a bit of a randomness, as you can see. Hit Control D again and rotate this again to a random direction that you want. So I'm gonna keep it somewhere around there and I'll set this to something like 75 or something. So as you can see, we have this really nice look. Then let's duplicate it again, hit Control D, rotate it, and I'm gonna make it some on the left. Maybe make it 40. We have this really nice look, as you can see. Maybe for the 40 I'm going to drag it a little bit. Just like so. Hit Control D, hit R, rotate it. Also position it in the center. And let's scale this up. Something like that. Control D. Rotate this and scale this down a bit again, just like so. So now we have this really nice pop-up look. For this one, maybe I'll just drag it a bit, something like so. And for this one also, I'm gonna drag this one a bit. So now you can see we have this really nice look. Now what we need to do is go right over here at 1 second. Select all the burst layers and hold Alt and close square bracket, hit U. So we have this really nice animation. Pretty cool. I'm going to do the same thing with some strokes. So let's pre-comp the burst layers. So hit Control Shift C and call this circles. Hit OK. There we have it. Let's select the pen tool. We don't need any fill, so I'm going to set this to none. And for the stroke, I'm going to set this to maybe 10. And turn on title action safe. And from the center, holding shift, I'm going to create a shape just like that. And let's select the layer, hit U 2 times. Actually, we need to go into the path. So let's set the stroke line cap from butt cap to rounded caps. And let's add a trim part to this. So let's go right over here and add some trim parts. And let's animate the end and the start property. So I'm going to set this to 0, create a keyframe, create a keyframe on the start. Let's go a few frames forward, set this to 100 and set this to 100. Then select just the top keyframes, that is the start property keyframes, and display this a bit. So now we should have something like that, which is looking pretty lame at the moment. So let's select this, hit F9, go into the graph editor, and let's select the points and drag the handle to the left. Now we have this really nice pop-up kind of a line animation that we were going for, but I think it's a bit too big. So let's select the keyframes and bring them closer. pretty nice, looking very nice. And now what we can do is let's rename this to line. Hit Control Shift C, let's call this lines, hit OK. Let's bring this below the logo shape and rotate this again to the position that we want. And I think the line is a bit too much bigger, so let's select it, U, and let's select the pen tool actually and drag the point a bit closer, just like that. So now it's a bit small, so let's align this with the main animation of the circle. So let's drag this until it animates out. Okay, there we go, there we have it. So let's hit Control D again, rotate it just like we did with the circles, you know. So again, scale this according to your preference, and there we have it. You can see really nice looking stroke animations. Hit Control D, rotate it in a different direction. Control D, rotate it in a different direction. We scale this a bit to 95 or something, just to add a little bit of randomness, and there we have it, looking very, very nice. So let's select all the lines, hit Control Shift C to be composite, call this lines, just to keep the comp more, you know, clean. And now let's go into the logo shape and go into layer styles, and I'm going to add an inner shadow. Let's go into inner shadow and let's set the distance to 0 and increase the size a bit, so very, very, very minimal, maybe something like that, and set the opacity to 40 or something like that. So we have this really nice kind of an inner shadow look to our circle. Then let's add our logo. So I'm going to just use something like an alphabet for our logo, that is S. So something like that. And let's go ahead and animate this. So let's go right over here. Select the S, that is our logo. Hit P to bring down the position properties. Create a keyframe. And let's go back in time right over here. Bring this below. And now we have this really lame looking S animation. So to make it look more interesting, we will be using an expression which I got from motionscripts.com, to which I'll provide the link down in the description below. So I'm going to copy paste the script. So hit Control C and hold Alt and click on the stopwatch of the position and hit Control V to paste the position, paste the expression. And now we should have something like this. Pretty interesting. And I'm going to tweak the values a bit. So I'm going to set the frequency to around 1. And the delay, I'm going to set this to 6. So now we have something like that. I'm going to make it a bit faster. So let's close this up actually. Hit U so we can see the keyframes. Bring this a bit closer. And let's select the logo shape. Hit Control D to duplicate it. And this is going to be the mat for the logo. Let's bring this on the top. Go right over here. And set the S track mat to automat. So now we have something like that. Maybe I'll bring this a bit closer. We should have something. Let's, you know, time it up with our complete animation. Yep, now it's looking much better. So it feels like the S hits the circle edge and the accents pop out from the sides, and I think it's a pretty cool look. Yep, that is looking very, very nice. Now to make it look more interesting, what I'm going to do is add some shadows to our logo. So let's select the logo shape and hit Control D to duplicate it. Let's bring this below and call this shadow. And the first thing that I'm going to do is add a CC radial blur. And let's set this to straight zoom and increase the amount to around 70. But as you can see, the circle is the size of just a 300 pixels. So it's gonna work just like that because it is a vector shape layer. So now what we need to do is add a CC composite. Bring this below and there we have it. Let's select the CC radial blur and select the center and let's place it somewhere around there. So now we have it. And I'm gonna maybe make it a bit more, just like so. Let's add a levels to this. Set this to alpha and bring this just like so. Let's add a fill. So this to black, and we're trying to create a really nice and subtle shadow for this. There we go, there we have it. Maybe I'll just drag it a bit more. So let's select the CC radial blur, drag it a bit longer, just like that. Okay, that is looking very nice. So finally I'm gonna add a linear wipe to this. We set this to 40% and rotate it. Rotate it in the position that we want, so something like that, and increase the feather to around 600, and there we have a really nice and simple looking shadow animation. Shadow, not shadow animation. So as you can see, pretty cool look. So just preview this pretty quick. Let's see. Yep, as you can see, this is looking very, very nice. Now finally, the last thing that we need to do is color up the accents. To do that, what I can do is just go into the lines. First of all, let's add a fill, and let's change the same, select the same color, not change the same color. Select it, go right over here, Control C, and we will select this point, hit Control V. Let's go into the circles, Control V, and just randomly I'm going to add it to few circles just to give it a bit more randomness, as you can see. And there we have it. I think we are done with the complete animation. As you can see, as you saw, it's really simple and easy to create. Instead of hiring someone, you can create your own little short YouTube intro if you want to. And yep, it's a pretty cool technique, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. So that is a wrap for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, make sure to subscribe, comment and like, and I will see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay raw, stay creative.